Welcome all. I'm very pleased today to be joined by Turkish Armenian and member of the Turkish Parliament, Garo Paylan. So Mr. Paylan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
To start off, you had the opportunity during this trip in Armenia to meet with the Prime Minister, to meet with the Parliamentary Speaker, Alen Simonyan, to meet with former President Serge Sargsyan, Levon Ter-Petrosyan, as well as Ruben Rubinyan, who is the Special Envoy to the Armenia-Turkey normalization talks that are going on at the moment. You also had the opportunity to participate in the Global Armenian Summit. So to start off, can you tell us a bit about this trip to Armenia? What was the experience like?
This is my, after 5 years, I came to Armenia again, and I met with the representatives of the diaspora and of course the Armenians here, and as you said, President, Prime Minister and Foreign Minister and so many officials here, because we have a new window opportunity for peace in the South Caucasus and the normalization between Turkey and Armenia. We had 2 more window opportunities during the days of 1990s when Levon Ter-Petrosyan was the president, but we lost that window opportunity, and second window opportunity was in 2008. Unfortunately, we again lost that window opportunity. I don't want to blame anybody, but I guess we are responsible as well somehow with the maximalist demands during those window opportunities. Now, unfortunately, after that terrible war and for 2 years, several escalations at the Azeri-Armenian border, we have another window of opportunity. We lived terrible 2 years, and we are very, very, sorry about it as the diaspora members. But the most suffered ones are the Armenians here. And we really think about the Armenians' future and Artsak's future, and all the diaspora members are discussing about it at the summit, and that is what we are talking. And I talked so much about this at the summit with the diaspora members and the Armenian officials.
And of course, you are very knowledgeable about Turkish politics, and I want to ask about the 2023 general elections in Turkey. Turkish voters will go on to vote for a president and a parliament. According to some opinion polls, however, the head of the CHP party, the candidate Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, is ahead of Erdogan in certain polls. I'm wondering if you think that there is a chance, a possibility that Erdogan might lose the 2023 elections.
It was more likely before the Ukraine-Russia war. The economy was terrible, and Erdogan's approval rates were terrible, and we were so confident that the opposition candidate would win. But after that war, Putin have started to endorse Erdogan more. And because of the embargo coming from the Western world, Russia is buying almost all goods from Turkey, and Russian tourists, all of them, I can say, coming to Turkey, and that helped Turkish economy. And also the oligarchs' money, I can say, because we had $28 billion money to Turkey, but we don't know the source. I know the source. Most of them comes from Russia, and the Western countries are turning a blind eye on it, and because Erdogan is playing some kind of a balance game again, and taking the endorsement from Putin and having the appeasement of the Western countries, and that helped Turkish economy. And of course, Erdogan's approval rates are higher with it, because why he lost those votes was the economy. The reason was the economy. If the economy functions well, Erdogan's votes are better. But still, we have more chance. But there is a problem. There is a division in the opposition camp, and we couldn't establish a better story. And Erdogan is following no exclusive policy against us, against the Kurds, let's say, about the HDP, People's Democratic Party. And we are asking opposition camp to just establish an inclusive policy, but they are not doing that because Erdogan is somehow on the conservative camp and nationalist, had a nationalist friend and following nationalist policies, but the opposition camp, they are more secular, but they are nationalist as well. So we couldn't establish some kind of a inclusive policy, and so there is a bigger chance that Erdogan can win. But still, if we can unite, I guess it is more likely that opposition camp is going to win, and this is going to be very decisive about Turkey's future. Either it's going to be only a one-man ruled country after that election, or it is going to turn its face again back to democracy.
And I mean, moreover, I mean, what do you think about the prospect of an opposition led, for example, by the CHP coming to power as it pertains to Armenian issues? Do you think there will be a difference?
No, it's not only the CHP. It's going to be a coalition, but in that coalition, there will be no CHP only a CHP at all. There will be an EU party, which is a very nationalist party, and we have a liberal party. Leader is the former economy minister Babacan and other actors, and so it is going to be a coalition. No. I guess it is better to have a coalition than one-man ruled country. No, of course, but it might be worse as well, because we were complaining about Abdulhamid during the Ottoman days. There was a huge repression over people, and Armenians were complaining as well. And we Armenians had a coalition with İttihat and Terakki Party after 1908. We thought seculars were better, but things got worse. We had to take a lesson out of it, and we asked them to offer a better democracy, to solve the Kurdish conflict, and to offer some kind of a democracy to the Turkish people, and to open borders and have nice relationship with Greece and Armenia. That is our offer. Peace in Turkey and peace all over our geography. But they haven't established that kind of a discourse, because they are nationalists somehow as well, unfortunately.
And you were a member for the Grand National Assembly for the HDP party, and the HDP has had former leaders put in prison, and on top of that, civil society, many believe, is also under strain. Philanthropist Osman Kavala, for example, earlier this year was sentenced to life in prison. Do you think the elections will be free and fair? And what do you think about the civil society right now in Turkey? Is it really under a lot of strain?
Civil society in Turkey is suffering, and so many people are jailed, and especially Osman Kavala is the example, because Osman Kavala is the most romantic guy in Turkey that I know. If you jail that kind of a person who asks for only democracy, equality, human rights, the others just see, if Osman Kavala is jailed for 6 years, I can anytime be jailed, and so people step back. That is what Erdogan does, just jail somebody, a symbol, and frighten the rest of them. That unfortunately works. And I guess he will not be free till the election, but if we win, the Democrats win, I mean, Osman Kavala will be released, and all our friends will be released. 5,000 of our members are jailed. And so many journalists Erdogan is jailing. Unfortunately, that judiciary with that stick, he's using judiciary as a stick, and so we are suffering, unfortunately. But still, the struggle is going on.
And I want to also talk about the Armenia-Turkey normalization process, which you have been following. Recently, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan had tete-a-tete talks with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. But in the past, Armenian and Turkish leaders have met. You mentioned Levon Tepetosyan and Robert Kocharian met with Süleyman Demirel. Also in 2008, Serge Sargsyan had meetings with Turkish leaders. Do you think the Erdogan administration is sincere in its approach to the normalization process? And how do you assess the process so far?
After that, two years ago, there was a terrible war which ended after 44 years, and we lost so many young people, young Azeris and young Armenians, unfortunately. And Turkey endorsed Azerbaijan. And Turkey thought, aftermath of that war, Turkey would win some kind of a leverage over South Caucasus. I said, no, you will be one of the losers of that war. And they told me, traitor, no, and I was opposing to the war, and I was some so-called traitor for them. And after that, aftermath of that war, Turkey saw that Turkey had almost nothing out of that war, and they told me, Garo, you were right. I told them good morning, but it's too late. You broke so many hearts. So you couldn't get any leverage out of that war, but we can get so many things with peace, with establishing peace in South Caucasus and opening our borders with Armenians. And because, Turkish nationalists use three cards. One is that vicious circle with Greece. They are shouting at each other. Next year, Greece has the elections, and Turkey has as well. And Greek nationalists are shouting at Erdogan. Erdogan is shouting at Greek. So it is a vicious circle. They are using Greek as an enemy card. And second card is the Kurd card, and using Kurd as an enemy. Unfortunately, there's a vicious circle. We lost that peace process. Now Kurd is the enemy, and so they are just consolidating Turkish nationalist votes with using Kurd as an enemy. And third card is the Armenian, and the least known card. Because Turkish people know nothing about Armenians living in Armenia. So for that, to get rid of that card used by the Turkish nationalists, I want that border to be opened, because people are biased against each other, both nations. So to get rid of those biased thoughts, we need to have really meet each other, do business with each other, have diplomatic ties and other relations. If we open the border, there will be millions of tourists visiting each other's country. So it will help both of us. And this is kind of help economy of the people. But more important thing is, it is going to make people think that how could Armenians be my enemy? Or Armenians will start to think how Turks can be my enemy. Of course, there are some ultra-nationalist Turks, and there are some ultra-nationalist Armenians as well. Maybe their biased thoughts we can't get rid of them easily, but we can get the most of the nations, the two nations, citizens. I am sure we can change the idea, because I'm living in Turkey. I'm with them. I know that there are Democrats and there are nationalists as well. We are struggling against the nationalists and want Turkey to turn back to democracy. Because till 2015, we were really very comfortable, because Turkey was on the democratic path, and we were benefiting. We as Armenians or all the minorities were benefiting from that. We were able to talk about everything. But after 2015, Erdogan made a coalition with the nationalists, and things got worse and worse and worse, unfortunately. But next year will be decisive, as I said. I guess it is going to, if the Democrats win, and if the Democrats have the majority in the parliament too, we will have two elections together. I guess it is going to help to solve all the problems in our geography.
I'm wondering what you think about the state of Turkish nationalism at the moment. As I mentioned, in some opinion polls, the MHP, one of the ultra-nationalist parties, seems to be falling in some opinion polls. Do you think that Turkey is more nationalist now than before? How would you describe?
Yes, unfortunately, because there is a hegemony of nationalism, and whoever just criticizes it, they jail it. Unfortunately, there is a hegemony, and it's so terrible. And we always offer the opposition parties to try to end this hegemony, but unfortunately, they are nationalist as well. They are secular, but somehow CHP is somehow nationalist, and E party is the ultra-nationalist party in this camp, and so there is an hegemony. Unfortunately, in 2015, there was the peace process, and 75% of the people was pro that peace process, in favor of that peace process, because we had the peace hegemony. Now, unfortunately, it is the vice versa. Now, 75% almost are under the under that nationalist thought. That hegemony affects them. There is no alternative. But via the third way, we are supporting that my party HDP asks for democracy and peace and equality, but we will have around 15%, but we need to convince the opposition camp to behave like a Democrat. And there are Democrats in CHP. We are trying to convince them, but they are really in a hard position. One side of CHP is nationalist, the other side is Democrat, and they have no nationalist partner. So on both sides of the political atmosphere, one side we have MHP making AKP and taking AKP to far right. Other side we have E Party. It is taking CHP to the another nationalist atmosphere. So we are in a very difficult position.
And a lot of liberal left circles around the world are very interested in the HDP because of its policies towards women, towards ethnic minorities, etc. You mentioned it a bit, but how willing are the main opposition parties to cooperate with the HDP? And if they are not, why are they not?
No, people like courage, as you know, in the political system. No, unfortunately, CHP is not playing very that courage game, and they behave like a coward when Erdogan blames them to be with HDP. But no, Erdogan was working with us, talking with us during the peace process, and 75% of the people was in favor of that. So Erdogan showed that courage, but the opposition camp, unfortunately, doesn't show that courage, unfortunately.
I want to also ask, the situation for many of the Armenians in Turkey was under strain or gained a lot of attention in 2020 when the Karabakh war was going on. 2 years later, has the situation changed? What's the situation like for Armenians living in Turkey?
It hasn't changed, unfortunately. When there is escalation, there are hate speeches, and hate speeches cause hate crimes. Armenians know it very well because we have been living in it for more than 100 years. So Armenians are silent in Turkey, and then they don't ask for their rights. They only stay silent, and only maybe I am speaking in the parliament. Last week we were discussing about the presidential budget in the budget committee, and I asked for demands about the Armenians, and the vice president have said, Garo, only you are asking for it. When we meet with the representatives of the Armenians, they are not telling me anything. And I told him that they can't tell you anything because there is a fear factor, unfortunately. So the fear factor works, unfortunately, but we are still struggling in the parliament. But we will have a difficulty to turn Turkey to democracy because they demolished almost all the institutions. The parliament is not functioning. Judiciary is a stick in Erdogan's hand, and the media, most of them are only shouting long live Erdogan, and the ones who are criticizing them are under repression, and NGOs are not functioning, unfortunately. So the only institutions that we have is the elections. Now, if next year we can change this wind, Turkey, it will be decisive for Turkey's future. If we can't, it will be a full one-man ruled country, unfortunately.
And finally, I just want to ask, you've been a big proponent of reconciliation. You have commemorated things that have happened to Armenians, to Turks, to Azerbaijanis. How do you feel in 2022 about the prospect of reconciliation?
No, still there is a window of opportunity. I criticize so much Erdogan, but in Erdogan's party there are still Democrats. Now I'm just talking with them. They want peace in Turkey and peace in the region. Now I'm speaking with them, talking with them. So still there is a window of opportunity. Even with Erdogan-ruled country, we can establish peace in the South Caucasus and normalize relations with Turkish Armenian relations, and that will help both nations. Because if we have always shouted at Turkey and thought they would never change, but we couldn't get anything out of it. But with peace we can really win together, all three nations. And don't forget, only 35 years ago Armenians and Azeris were living together in Shusha, but now we forgot about it. And peace is a necessity for Armenia, but it is not a necessity for Aliyev, because Aliyev is benefiting from this hate processes. But we need that peace. It helps Aliyev to sustain his one-man ruled country. And also this closure of the borders with Turkey and Armenia, it helps Turkish nationalists. But if we open that border, it will be beneficial for two nations, and moreover, it is going to really take one card now from the Turkish nationalists as well. So I am just struggling for it, trying to convince Turkish people that Armenians cannot be our enemy, and trying to convince the Armenian world that Turks cannot be our enemy, so we should take responsibility now. And I'm so sorry to see that in Armenia, whoever talks about peace, they call him or her as a traitor. But it happened during the 1990s. They shouted traitor to Levontar Petrosyan, and there was maximalist demands. And if we sat on the table, we could get more, but we couldn't, unfortunately, because of those maximalist demands. In 2008, against Sarkisyan, I fully remember that people were shouting, some nationalist Armenians, were shouting traitor. And unfortunately, Sarkisyan stepped back. Also, Erdogan stepped back, and we lost that. And if we could establish peace, we could get more. Now, unfortunately, we lost all those cards. If we get a lesson out of what we lived, during last 2 years and last 30 years, we think we are weak now. No, but if we get a lesson out of what we lived during 30 years, we can be at the most powerful moment. So let's just think about Armenian future, about how we can guarantee Armenia's territory, and how we can end this endless wars. I'm just working on it, and I will try to convince all the Armenian world and the Turkish citizens to establish peace in the region. So with that, I guess it will be beneficial for all the nations, and just like Europe did fought for hundreds of years, then they are just benefiting from that peace. So we can establish the same thing. You can call me a romantic, but yes, I am a romantic, but I am a realistic as well. Let's be a realist and a clever nation. And I guess for Armenia, peace is a necessity. For other neighbors, it is not a necessity. So let's think about it, and let's try to establish peace. And if we can really be together, unite as a nation, Mr. Pashinyan is going to sit at the table in the following weeks or months. He is going to be more powerful at that table. But if we are divided, if we only blame each other, he's not going to be that powerful, and Armenia might be in a chaos after that. So we need to convince each other to sit at table very powerful to get guarantee of the peace of South Caucasus, and that should be a just peace, of course, to sustain forever.
Well, Garo Paylan, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on CivilNet.